Good morning. They'll do me for copyright, probably. Everyone knows it. So, St. George's Day. Good Lord, I looked him up. He was martyred in what's now Turkey, I think. I think I'm right. Oh no, Greece, was it? Lydda, Lydda. Quite how other countries have latched onto him too as their saint, I think. I didn't really reread that whole blooming thing. Will anyone notice? The only reason I'm for sure noticed is because it turns up on Google. It's, a cartoon of geezer on a horse slaying a dragon, which, curiously enough, is exactly what I have here too at St. Michael's Square in Alnwick. There's something called the Pant and the statue, so a water trough for beasts coming to the market in the past. It's an old market town, Alnwick. And there's the statue of St. George slaying the dragon. And every time I look at it and think about it, if I do, as it were, I think, well, it's the dragons in people's hearts that have to be slain. So, from little Johnny and Mary, 7-year-olds, Johnny pulls Mary's ponytail and Mary pinches his bum. They both absolutely know they have done wrong, to that image of a 12, 13-year-old Palestinian boy from the Gaza Strip, internationally world photographer, whatever it was, winner of the competition, a double amputee, both arms cut off, no arms. He's got a good sort of strong look to his face, but what he is living proof of. Now the poor old Pope had a immensely dance around this because he's the Pope, and a world internationally known figure. I am not world internationally known, probably thank heavens for that. But it's genocide. In the Holy Land now, perpetrated by Israel, funded and armed by America. Now, the Pope apparently Pope Francis used to speak most days to a Roman Catholic, very small, few hundred, Roman Catholic community in the Gaza Strip. So even the Pope, that was the best he could do in terms of stopping this genocide. The current president of the United States, absolutely the reverse, put out that horrid little meme film, push them all into the sea, or so just get rid of them, 2 million people, never mind how or where or whatever happens to them, and that's their land, etc., whatever, never mind that, and turn it into a beach resort with dollar bills floating around, and the president, whose name I will not say, and Elon Musk sitting on the beach with dollar bills floating down, and a stonking great statue in gold of that awful man in America. And he's still at it, tanking the world's economy, basically. For what motive? And he couldn't care less either, because he'll be dead soon anyway. I'm only 10 years behind him. The Pope was 10 years ahead. So, Johnny and Mary, at 7 years old, they know the difference between right and wrong, and then by whatever, 25 years old, they've all lost the plot. They've got their own agendas, and killing is sort of quite often the highest priority. Kill the other lot. Back in the jungle we are. I am a Christian. As a Christian, and this is what I find just staggering, the supreme governor of the Church of England is the monarch of Britain. Well, we're a warlike nation. You can't have the head of a church who basically advocates, when push comes to shove, as in the second war in Iraq, for instance, the slaughter of innocent people. Mrs. Thatcher, the sinking of the Belgrano, of the fighting against the Falklands, Argentina, all of that. I'm not a priest in the Church of England. If you look back through the history of the Roman Catholic Church, it's appalling. The popes of the day have been involved in, at the very least, all sorts of atrocities committed in God's name. And I'm not a Benedictine monk through the Roman Catholics. In that sense, I'm not constrained to speak or not to speak by anyone, only on the census of potential censorship of my words by YouTube. Even then I can still think them and talk to people. It's genocide. And for me, why it matters so much is it's going on in plain sight in the Holy Land now. Right? So there's Gorgon, Greek mythology, Medusa with her 11 snakes for hair. Okay, so this is well known in philosophical terms. You cut one snake off and lo and behold, there are 11 more snakes. So Israel, and I'm not anti-Semitic, Christ of course was a Jew. Incidentally, the Roman Catholics only forgave the Jews for crucifying Christ at the Second Vatican Council in 1962-63. So of course it was the Jews. Caiaphas handed him over to the Jews, didn't he? To the high priest. It was the Jews who said, crucify Christ, because he was shining God's light into their darkness. I'm paraphrasing that, but I think that's the general gist of the reality of possibly the persecution of the Jews through the centuries, actually. Anyway, that's a whole different subject. So, St. George's Day. I'm rambling on about little Johnny and Mary and grown-ups losing the plot. Okay, Christ said, every single hair on the head of your fellow man, woman and child is precious and special. Therefore you can't even think of harming them. And if they strike you on one cheek, give unto them the other cheek. And this is Paul speaking, St. Paul, Romans 10 or 12. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. So we humans must not revert to our own personal vengeful behaviour. It is human nature in the Holy Land, Palestine, Israel. What is being stored up now is yet many people, but further future generations of the longing for revenge, vengeance against the other. And it's obviously just not in Israel, but you know, and then the cycle just continues. We've got the English and the Scots were at it for just a while. For that matter, the English and the Irish, and then let's try the English and the French. And anyway, St. George's Day. Well, I am not proud to be British. I am. My father was English. He fought on the Somme in the First World War from King's Lynn, Norfolk, old English family we are. Mother's side was Scottish, so that absolutely makes me British. Actually, I'm a white African by birth. My Scottish missionary ancestor, William Russ, trained with Dr. David Livingstone. So I was actually born in Cape Town, South Africa, which by birth makes me a white African. But my heritage is through and through English and Scottish, half and half, pretty much. And I'm utterly, utterly not proud of this little England. So never mind, was Jerusalem builded here? We've got a mess, a human mess. The current Prime Minister doesn't know if he's a man or a woman or you know, well, he's certainly an atheist apparently, but his wife is Jewish, I think. Am I right in thinking it is he, the Prime Minister of Britain, Sir Keir Starmer, apparently fancies some Lord Melly or something, Ellie, who've been giving him places to live in, but fancies him as a man, as a homosexual, and his wife's filing divorce against him. Oh, please. So that's, before that we had that awful Boris Johnson fellow, a liar and a cheat and a bad egg if ever one knew one, but highly intelligent, very capable. Quote you at length in Greek and stuff. Oh, please. Alec Douglas Hume was a proper human being, Scottish, very briefly Prime Minister in the 63, I think, about 1963. So it is most definitely not Jerusalem, as in the sense of a holy kind of Christian country, this England. Sadly, that is the reality. I am a Christian. This is St. Paul speaking again. Faith, hope, and love. This is 1 Corinthians 13. It's sort of very well known. Faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Amen. Happy St. George's Day. Oh, Lord. I'll tell it to Mr. Socks over there. Socrates, my only friend, polar bear. Cheerio.